So if you've been looking for a pair of shoes that you can wear every day, something casual, cheap, and most of all that's going to last you a long time, definitely this is a good choice. So this is the Adidas ZX Boost 2.2. So we're going to cover a few things in terms of sizing, how it looks on foot, performance, and just the general design of how the shoe looks. But let's get straight into it. So straight from the jump, let's cover a few things in terms of how the shoe fits. Generally I think this shoe fits true to size. However, when I was ordering this shoe, I did order the wrong size. As an everyday shoe, I think it's a good pick. And personally, what I would do, I'd probably half a size up, or if not, just get it true to size. You're probably thinking that's a bit contradictory. Why would you half a size up? And I've just said it's true to size. If you like anything like me, I wear pretty thick socks when I'm wearing kicks, so that's something you got to take into consideration. Mine's pretty simple. If anything, this shoe's probably made with probably 4 or 5 panels. So we've got this back panel here, which is nubuck, sort of a bit of a leather fin. I don't actually think it's real leather, but it feels like leather. There's a bit of textile and mesh lining here, which is pretty flexible. The lace closure opens pretty wide and the laces look pretty good, so that's pretty sick. I think generally the way I usually test shoes is I sort of test sort of the mid here in terms of the midsole. What I do, I just try and bend it to see if there's any sort of flexibility in it. As you can tell, it's quite rigid. You can barely sort of flex it. Then we sort of go to the heel, and if you can just sort of squash it, but again this is pretty firm, you can't really squash this. Finally, just to see how the top toe box sort of moves, you can just pull at the front. Again, that's pretty rigid, so one thing that tells me is, in terms of if you're doing any sort of sports, this probably isn't the shoe to go for. It's quite rigid in the back, there's not much flexibility it's going to give you, although the boost in there might offer a bit of bounce. It's more of an everyday shoe that you just wear casual. Sole, as you can see, there's a nice tread pattern there where with some of these areas that kind of rise up in terms of there's a lot of traction underneath there, so which is pretty sick. But I think generally, just by looking at it, it's not a light shoe, definitely not at the back. If anything, I thought it felt quite heavy. I don't think it does anything for performance personally, but I think it looks good. The top's got a lot of textile and mesh lining, which is hard to clean, but the only lucky thing is these are black, so you could probably get away with it. But I've got another cleaning video where I've gone through some of the cleaning products you can use for different materials or different shoes, and I suggest you watch that, so I'll link that somewhere here. There's a lot of designs, especially on this midsole here. I think cool thing I did see actually, these sort of back bits here, these panels here are 3M, and they sort of swivel all the way around here, so that's pretty sick. For those of you that don't know, 3M is just essentially they reflect, they glow in the dark. How does this shoe do in terms of performance? I think it feels bouncy but firm at the same time. There's that, there's that sort of fine line. I think we did the test at the start to see, how sort of flexible and rigid the midsole was at the bottom here. But I personally think it's a good shoe. Although it feels locked in, you can, you can move your feet, and there's breathable holes. Not breathable holes, but there's a lot of ventilation due to the mesh used on the upper. Personally, I think these shoes could last you, a good 2-3 years. Obviously, that's not wearing them every day, but as you can see, this actual outer sole here is pretty thick. By the time you get through that and the actual sort of tread pattern here, the Adidas website, we've got a black pair here. What do they call this? Core black with cloud white. So this is pretty loud. If you're into loud colours like orange, cloudy white with like a minty blue with some sort of stripes of orange on the inside. Again, this is probably like a summer shoe. There's a wide variety of colours you can pick from. All the shoes are made the same way, in terms of you still get the nubuck at the bottom. There's still sort of like a textile lining, but this one's pretty nice actually. You've got all the way up until this point. Thanks for watching. Drop a little comment, subscribe, like, or whatever you want to do. But what I will do also add is a link to the full review I've done on the Source Buy website, and you can check it out there. But thanks. Out.